Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me for part 5 of the MERP character creation series. What we'll do tonight is, what we'll do in this video is we will. Oh, before I forget, I realized after I stopped the last video that one thing I did not actually do. I forgot we were actually creating a character, and I didn't actually do background options for that character. So just to keep it simple, I just went with lightning reactions times 4. So I put the 20-point bonus and defensive bonus. So that increases his bonus up. For her, was this a male or female? It's a female bard. I think I made a female animus too, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Interesting. All right, but anyway, that increases the defensive bonus to 48. And for that lightning reactions, again, you come over here to, let me just check something real quick. Okay, good. You'll come over here and you put your plus 20s in. Now, the reason this says 0 is because this is a dual weapon wielder. There is a negative 20 modification to the non-dominant hand. That's why that is a 0. And then put 20s in the other offensive bonuses. So, for example, even though this person doesn't have any martial arts developed, actually not bad because of the lightning reactions. Actually, wouldn't it be if this person was disarmed, the bard could actually do some decent leg sweeps, and would actually be able to do strikes without any negative modifiers. But if she would actually end up developing any of the martial arts, and I know I said I wasn't going to really go into martial arts at all, but just keep in mind that lightning reaction will also affect martial arts skills, which can be helpful if you're ever disarmed. But honestly, you still will get to be able to attack with your legs and your fists if necessary. It's just a whole different. That'll be for another video too. That'll be more like when I start putting some combat videos together and trying to explain the different the rules and parameters involved in all the different parts of combat. Anyway, let's get back to this. I made I did take the background option lightning reactions, just stacked it 4 times just to keep it simple because I'm trying to get these videos done and just wanted to roll right into the next one. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to do our apprenticeship skill development. Now this is going to be a little tricky, so I kind of really need to explain how we go about doing this. First of all, your development points, you get 15, and that's for the optional professions as well. So they're kind of divided up how you can use them. Anything that you see that has a 0, that is what I call a 0 category. So when I refer to a 0 category, that's what I'm referring to, where you have a 0 for any one of your categories, all right? Where the animus doesn't have any 0. So the animus actually will be able to transfer development points a lot better than anybody else into certain categories. So a skill, before we get into that part though, I just want you to keep in mind what is it when I start referring to 0 categories, what I'm talking about. A skill rank may be increased by 1 by allocating 1 development point. What that means is those little boxes on the skill development page here. These are called ranks. Each box is called a rank. Okay, so each one of these can only be developed by 1 for 1 development point. If you want to develop 1 by 2, like say for example, you want to just say well, I'll tell you what. I'll explain as we go. I'm going to read these rules out to you, but there are things that are important that you need to keep in mind when you're doing this, if you're doing this by yourself. You can only increase 1 rank with 1 development point, or 2 ranks if you use 3 development points. Now, there is an exception to that rule. And a skill rank in apprenticeship cannot be developed by a skill cannot be developed by more than 2 ranks during apprenticeship. So no skill can be developed by more than 2 during apprenticeship. That's not counting your background options. If you do the 5 skills in a secondary skill, if you did the hobby skill rank, completely different. There are 2 exceptions to this process: developing movement and maneuver skills, that's moving in your armor, and learning spell lists. Okay, so we'll get to that. Perception. As far as transferring development points, and it doesn't tell you that here, but as far as it'll tell you like on the next page, I think, transferring development points. I can just tell you, plain and simple. In order to transfer any development points into a regular category, you need 2 development points to transfer just to get 1 point in that category. For example, if you want to transfer, first of all, let's go back here. Say you're a warrior and you have 5 weapon skills, 5 development points in weapon skills, and say you just put a couple points in and you want to transfer, you have 2 left over and you want to transfer them over into, say, subterfuge, you would get 1 additional point in subterfuge. So it's a 2-for-1 basis. Unless it's a 0 category, then you need 4 points. Like, for example, if a warrior wants to develop one of the magical skills, he needs to transfer 4 other points from other categories just to get 1 point in magical. Same way, if a mage would like to develop one of his weapon skills here, he needs 4 development points just to get 1 point in that what I call a 0 category. Just like if a scout or a warrior wants to learn a spell, in order to learn a spell list, a scout and a warrior will have to transfer 4 development points into spell lists to get 1 development point in spell list. And that 1 development point will actually give them a 20% chance to learn a spell list. And you could actually put that 1 development point into that spell list and just leave that 1 point there. Like, you don't lose that point. Once you put something into a spell list, you don't ever lose it. It carries over and carries over. For example, if you wanted to do that with a warrior, once you get that 20% chance in there, every time you level up, you get a new chance to roll 20 or below to try to learn the spell list. So you wouldn't have to keep on adding. If you want to guarantee yourself better chances, then we'll get into how you get your spell list in a little bit here. But that's what the transferring development points is all about. You transfer in any other category but a 0 category, you transfer on a 2-to-1 basis. If it's a 0 category, you transfer on a 4-to-1 basis. If it's perception, you transfer 1-to-1. You can transfer points into perception on a 1-to-1 basis. So oftentimes, if you have 1 point left over in something, just drop that bad boy right into perception. Perception's a pretty important thing in MERP, in my opinion. I'm going to try to leave my opinions out. So let's get to, that's pretty much what I want to tell you about that. As far as learning spell lists, you learn 1 spell list at a time. If you're a mage and you have 5 development points in spell lists, or an animus, 5 development points, you can't take those and spread them out in 5 different spell lists and roll 5 times to try to learn 5 different spells. It has to be 1 spell list at a time. So let's get to what do we have? We have a bard. So I'm going to use the book. I'm just going to, what page are we on here? 90. I'm going to use the book so that I can go straight over to the spreadsheet, and we will develop the bard. I'll try to explain what we're doing as we go. Now, the movement maneuver, you may, the warrior is the only one that actually gets 3 points for movement maneuver, unless maybe the optional professions might have more. Let me look on 215 once. or somewhere around 215. 217. I didn't want to do that. Sorry, dropping stuff. All right, movement maneuver. The warrior is the only one out of all the professions that even gets more than 2 movement maneuver development points anyway. So if you were a warrior, you could actually take all 3 of your points, for example, and put them like that, you know, and you would be able to develop 3 without, well, you can develop each rank for 1 development point, and you could actually, movement maneuver is the only skill category where you can develop more than 2 during apprenticeship. All right, so let's just get those out of there once. If that confuses anybody, just drop me a comment. I may not be explaining things as well as I could. The voice is about shot. The brain is still fried, even though I got some sleep. But I'm trying to press on so I can get these uploaded, and I'll probably be disappointed that I rushed myself in the end, but I feel like there's a need for these videos to be up, and I'm about at least a week overdue, if not a few months. So let's go back to page 90, and we're doing a bard, and the bard gets 0 for movement and maneuver. So because the bard gets 0 for movement and maneuver, if I want to develop my movement at all, I need 4 points from other categories to transfer into my movement and maneuver, just to give me 1. Keep in mind that those bonus points I give you for secondary skills may not be used to transfer into primary. Those are freebie points that I give, and maybe other game masters might not even give you those anyway. So the bard gets 0 in movement and maneuver. The bard gets 2 in weapon skills. Now, I am going to explain this little TWC here, even though it's, if anybody wants to be a dual weapon wielder, I guess there are different ways to deal with dual weapon wielding. In MERP, as far as I can tell, I did a lot of research on the whole dual weapon wielding, and I took rules from the books, and I took the way other game masters apply their rules to dual weapon wielding, and I kind of compiled my own house rules. But one thing that seems to be a general consensus is that the 2 weapon combat skill has to be developed along with the dual weapon skills. And basically the 2 weapon combat skill is a cap for your offensive bonus if you are doing a combination attack, like you're attacking with both weapons in the same round. If you don't, then that cap doesn't really matter. It basically is for if you're trying to do 2 attacks in 1 round. So as a dual weapon wielder, I feel it's necessary to at least have that developed, because if you don't, and all of a sudden you want to try to do a multiple attack, your 1 right here is a cap, which is not going to do anybody any good if they have a 31 up here, and then they want to roll and attack with both of these, and all of a sudden they find out, well, their max OB is a 1. So because this bard is a dual weapon wielder, we have to put 1 in there. We just have to. And then that automatically takes that up to 31. So that's good. So at least the 2 weapon combo is developed, and then we'll just put the other one over. Well, actually, we'll put it in thrown, just in case you ever need to throw a dagger or something. That way, it doesn't hurt. Like I said before, I think I said before, any chance you can put a point in any one of these, any skill, just to get the first point in there, it's a 30-point swing. One other thing I normally do is I will normally name the weapons, but I'll probably do that later when we pick the weapons. Probably be like short sword and dagger, or short sword. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll see. That's 2 in weapons. We have 2 in general and 2 in subterfuge. So I'm definitely going to put 1 in track and for now, I'm going to hold off on the other one. So what I'll usually do is I'll make a little note on a piece of paper that I have one left in general, so I know, where my extra points are at, and I know that I put one in tracking. I mean, I'll know where it went. Like if I come back and I decide I want to put that 1 point in general, I can't put it in tracking because I need 3 points to take that up to 2. So, but I have one in general. We have 2 in subterfuge. I am going to put one in pick locks and one in disarm traps. The bard has 3 in magical. I will put one in use items and save the other 2. Actually, I'll tell you what I'll do just so you can see how this works. I'll take those other 2. And I don't usually develop this skill, but I'm finding some people are interested in it, so I will take those 2 and transfer them into. Well, no, I won't yet. No, I won't yet because I might see something that's more important. So we have 2 left over in magic. We have 1 for body development and 3 for languages. So 1 for body development. We will scoot over here and roll a d10 really quick. Where are you at? Did that not roll? I swore I just rolled a d10. Maybe I accidentally. Maybe I didn't hit it. I'm confused. I'm confused why I'm not seeing the results. Let me see here. Well, this is about kind of halfway crazy. Test. Let's exit. Sorry about this. That was kind of bizarre. So now I probably have like a couple of extra rolls. All right. Well, it's not showing the rolls at all. How weird is that? All right, let's try again. A d10. A 3. I probably rolled a 10 somewhere into, the ozone. So, oh, that's a 3. We'll put that over here in that box there. All right, and we have 3 for languages. I am going to, wow, it is a bard. Probably thinking about maybe, let me just save those for now. 3 in languages and 2 in spell lists. So here's how the spell lists work. For each development point that you have that you put into a spell, and remember, you can only learn 1 spell at a time. For each development point that you put into a spell list, you have a 20% chance to learn that spell list. So if you're a gambler, you could put 1 development point into a spell list and try to roll under a 20, well, 20 or below. And then you can use your other spell list or your other development point somewhere else if you wanted to. Or you put that 2 points into your spell list and try to roll a 40 or below. So like with a mage and an animus where they get 5 development points for spell lists, if you feel lucky or you need development points somewhere else, transferred somewhere else, and you don't need the spell that bad, you can transfer points out, try to roll under whatever you're supposed to roll under, and then if you don't make it, you don't actually lose that development. You actually will end up putting it up here as a percentage chance. Like for example, and I'll show you, I'm going to do this just so you see how it works. We'll put 1 development point into a spell list. And I won't really waste time on the video picking out a spell list because I don't usually do a spellcaster and I don't really think about what I'm going to do as far as I don't even know if I picked out spell list for the animist that I created. But what we'll do is I'm going to give myself a 20% chance to learn a spell list, either a bardic spell list. Bard has 4 spell lists to choose from, or an open essence spell list. Now, you know what? I'll make it, keep it simple. I'll make it Spirit Mastery because that's what I'm familiar with. If the Bard gets the Spirit Mastery spell list, I think he is limited to level 5. Let me just double check. Yes, 5th level spell from Open Essence. So I am going to only use one of those development points in spell list. That will leave me with 1 to transfer. So right now I have 1 from general, 2 from magic, 3 from language, and 1 from spell list. And the reason I'm doing it this way is just so you can see how this works in case I miss it. I'm giving myself less of a chance to make the spell. Now you'll roll a D100, and if you have a 20% chance, you have to roll 20 or below. You have a 40% chance, it has to be 40 or below. 60%, 60%. It's very simple. And if you're a mage and you have 5 development points and you put them all in to that spell list, you don't even have to roll. You automatically get the spell. So we're going to roll a D100, and we need to roll under a 20 or below. Well, we actually got the spell list. So that's good. If I really wanted to do that, that would have never worked. So, let's see here. If I would have rolled above a 20, then this would have stayed like this. And what this would have told me when I advance, when I go up to level 2, it would have told me that I already have 1 development point toward learning that spell. So at level 2, I could try again to roll the 20, or I could add 1 or 2 because you get two spell development points every level. So like this little development point table, that's going to be every time you level up. That's what you're going to use. So I have a 20% chance. If I would have missed that spell, I would have a 20% chance to get that spell every time I level up. I could just keep on rolling, or maybe the next time I level up, I add these 2 and give myself a 60% chance. Or maybe I add 1 and bring it up to a 40. All depends on how you want to do it. And again, I can help people out with the whole spell listing. That's probably the most confusing part to, well, that and transferring development points can be a little confusing too. But once you know what you're doing, it's not that hard. But if you roll for a spell list during your apprenticeship or any leveling up and you miss it, you keep those development points and you put it down as a percentage. Like if I would have used both of these points and I would have missed the spell, I would have put a 40%. That tells me that I have 2 development points in there so far. That doesn't mean you get a 40% chance to cast a spell. You don't have the spell list, so you can't cast a spell at all. Let's see. So we did get the spell, and keep in mind what I said. The bard can only cast a max level 5 Spirit Mastery. It's a very handy spell. Spirit Mastery 1 is sleep 5, so you can put 5 levels of beings to sleep. Spirit Mastery 3 is a sleep 7, so you can put 7 levels of beings to sleep. So it all depends, like 1 level 7, a level 4, and a level 3, 5 level 1s. Now you aren't going to necessarily know what's coming at you, but if you cast that spell, and a game master will be able to determine if anybody passes out or not. So it's a handy spell. That worked out. Now we have our other development points that we're transferring. First thing I'll do, I'll take that 1 from spell lists that we had extra, and we'll put it right into perception. That gives me 1 in perception, all right? So that leaves me with 6 more. I'll take 4 of those, okay? And I'll put those into no armor. That way he's moving a little bit faster in his no armor, and it'll help him with certain moving maneuvers. And he, as a bard, is never going to wear armor. Well, he's never going to cast spells in armor. Not to say that he couldn't wear armor, he just wouldn't be able to cast spells. So since his spirit mastery spell is for putting people to sleep, he probably wouldn't want to walk around with leather, because then when you get into a bind, he's not going to have time to take his clothes off and start casting his spells. So that got rid of 4, and we have 2 left. And what I will do with the other 2 is, because I've noticed some people seem to be interested in this ambush skill, I'll put 1 in ambush. You will notice that that 1 only increased this up to a 1, and it did get rid of the minus 25, but the ambush skill is only 1 for each rank. And we'll talk about the ambush skill. I mean, I can talk about it now because that's it for developing the character for apprenticeship. The next video will be into choosing equipment and figuring out the money, and then the last video will be on creating a character in 30 minutes or less. But just to kind of really quick give you a little idea about this ambush skill. In MERP, we have what are called attack tables. So basically, what you're going to do, you're going to take your offensive bonus, all right? Say you attack somebody, you're going to take your offensive bonus. If you're attacking with your let's just say you use your bow, all right? You shoot with a bow, take your offensive bonus, you subtract the other person's defensive bonus, and then you get a result on an attack table for missile attack against that armor, whatever the armor is the foe is wearing, or the target, I should say. Whatever that result is, you apply that, like whatever the hit points are, you apply that to the target, and some of those results are going to have what we call criticals: A, B, C, D, and E. A critical means you roll another roll, a D100, against the critical attack table, and or the critical table. For it would be for a bow, it would be puncture table, and you would roll a D100, and depending on what your critical level is, you would either subtract 20, subtract 10. Like it would be subtract 20 for an A, subtract 10 for a B, subtract nothing for a C, add 10 for a D, and add 20 for an E critical. So an E critical is great, and if you roll really good with the E critical, you can do amazing damage. What was I talking? I know what I was talking about. The ambush skill. So basically, what this ambush skill means is, if you are able to successfully stalk and hide, if you do like you need to sneak up on someone, okay, so that would be a stalking maneuver. If you are successful sneaking up on someone and then landing an attack with a critical, what happens is you roll against the critical table, and then you can ask the game master, what is the critical if I apply my ambush skill? And you get to choose. And oftentimes, especially like when it's only a 1 point bonus, because this is just a 1 point bonus for now, your chances become greater as you develop the ambush skill to actually make a change. But what it means is the game master will take a look at the critical table and tell you what the critical is with or without your ambush skill added. Oftentimes, if it's only a 1 or only a couple points, like for low level, you're not usually going to make a difference. It all depends on what you roll as far as your critical. But it could be a different critical, and then the game master will tell you both criticals, and you can actually decide. You may actually not necessarily want the higher critical. Sometimes, depending on where the roll lands, you might be better off taking it without the ambush skill added. But you do actually get to choose. So that's what the ambush skill is in a nutshell. And I think that's the end of this video. So I will see everyone in the next video. And we will be equipping the character, and I will show you how to use the money section of the spreadsheet, and we'll be over on the other page. I'm going to actually, well, no, we'll do it all in the next video. So thank you again for your patience. Hopefully, not driving anybody too crazy with my voice and my yawning and being tired and everything. But I just want to get these videos out for you guys, and in the future, I will be. I'll try to be more awake when I'm doing these things. It's just sadly the best time for me to do the videos is at night when everybody else is asleep, and plus I work second shift, so usually it's like, go to work, I come home, everybody else is asleep, I can do this, and go, and so sadly you're usually stuck with me when I'm half asleep. All right, thanks again. See you in the next video.